Your file shows no kills, Bond.
Second is... Yes.
But it did.
Will you yield?
The movie starts in black and white. James Bond is in Prague. He enters an office and meets a man who betrayed MI6. At the same time, we see a flashback. Bond is in a bathroom fighting another man. It's rough and messy. They slam into walls, struggle on the floor, and cause destruction. In the end, Bond grabs a gun and shoots him. Back in the office, the traitor is still alive. "I know where you keep your gun," he says, pulling something out slowly. They clearly know each other. Bond shoots him, finishing the job. With 2 kills, Bond officially becomes 007. The story moves to Uganda. A man named Mr. White arrives at a secret meeting in the jungle. He meets a warlord who controls a large rebel group. The warlord wants to make his money grow but doesn't trust banks. That's where Chiffre comes in. Chiffre is a private banker who handles money for dangerous clients. He offers to invest the warlord's cash and promises fast growth. The warlord agrees and hands over a large sum. Mr. White is there to oversee the deal. But what they don't know is that Chiffre plans to gamble the money in the stock market, a risky bet rather than protection. Meanwhile, Bond is in Madagascar, watching a man closely. The man receives a message on his phone with a single word, ellipsis. Bond continues tracking him from a distance, but the man spots him, and a wild chase begins. They race through a construction site, leaping across beams, climbing cranes, and causing chaos. The man escapes into an embassy, thinking he's safe. But Bond doesn't stop. He breaks in, fights guards, and captures the man. Before they can stop him, Bond shoots a gas tank, causing a massive explosion. The embassy goes up in flames. The man is killed, and Bond walks away with his bag. Later, Bond checks the phone. The message still reads ellipsis. Inside the bag, he finds a small explosive device. News of the embassy incident spreads fast. Chiffre also sees the report and realizes a British agent is now involved, and that things are getting serious. The head of MI6 and Bond's boss, is furious. She had given Bond his 00 status, a license to kill, and he celebrates by blowing up an embassy. "Is there something so embarrassing he'd have the good sense to defect?" she scolds. Bond begins investigating the word ellipsis, the message the man received. He traces it to a security locker booking at the Ocean Club in the Bahamas. It's a small lead, but it's real. That night, Bond breaks into M's house. She returns home to find him already inside. Furious, she demands he leave. 00s have a very short life expectancy, she snaps. "I need you out of my sight, because these bastards want your head." Bond arrives in the Bahamas and heads to the Ocean Club. He sneaks into the security room and checks CCTV footage from the day the message ellipsis was received. He watches the footage closely and spots a man checking his phone at that exact moment, and the man drives a vintage Aston Martin, which catches Bond's attention. Later, Bond goes to the front desk and claims to have accidentally scratched an Aston Martin in the parking lot. He says he wants to apologize to the owner. The receptionist tells him the car belongs to Alex Demetrius, who lives nearby. Bond heads to the beach and spots Solange, Alex's wife. They make eye contact. There's instant chemistry. Alex notices too. That night, back in London, M is informed that Bond is in the Bahamas. She finds out that he logged into a secure MI6 database using her password. Bond used it to find information about Demetrius and Chiffre. Slimy bugger. Known associates. That evening, Bond plays poker with Demetrius at the Ocean Club. Solange watches, though Alex treats her poorly. When Alex runs out of chips, he throws his car key onto the table to stay in. Trip aces. Aces win. Bond wins, and the Aston Martin is now his. After the game, Bond invites Solange for a drink. She sees the car and agrees. At Bond's place, they talk. Casually, Bond asks about Alex. Solange reveals that Alex is leaving for Miami that night on the last flight. As soon as Bond hears that, he quietly leaves and heads for the airport. At the airport, Bond spots Demetrius. Demetrius sees him and attacks, but Bond quickly takes him down and kills him. He checks Demetrius' phone and finds the same ellipsis message. Bond calls the number and watches. A man picks up and starts walking. Bond follows. The man realizes he's being tailed, changes into a security uniform, and enters a restricted area, locking the door behind him. Bond, needing access, calls M and warns her the plane is in danger. "Because I think a bomb is about to go off, and you need to do it now." Bond sees a keypad and tries ellipsis. It works. He enters, follows the man, and discovers the plan, a bomb hidden inside a fuel truck. The target is the Skyfleet airliner. A fight breaks out. In the chaos, Bond secretly attaches the bomb to the man's belt. Airport security arrives and arrests Bond, thinking he's the threat. The man, unaware, triggers the bomb. But instead of the plane, it's he who explodes. Bond stops the attack and saves the plane. Bond returns to the Ocean Club and finds M waiting for him. Solange is dead. M explains, after the failed attack, Le Chiffre lost a huge amount of money that belonged to Abano, a dangerous rebel leader. Le Chiffre assumed someone leaked the plan. To send a message, he captured and tortured Solange. M reminds Bond, his actions have consequences. Solange was used and killed because of her connection to him. To keep tabs on Bond, M implants a tracker in his arm. She wants to monitor his every move. She tells him about a high-stakes poker game in Montenegro. Le Chiffre is entering to win back the money he lost. If he loses again, he won't be able to repay his debts, and will have no choice but to seek protection from British intelligence. That's the plan. Beat him, bankrupt him, and force him to cooperate. No bullets. Just cards. On his way to Montenegro, Bond meets Vesper Lynd. She's in charge of the $10 million MI6 is entering into the game. Bond is clearly impressed by her beauty, but Vesper is all business. She's sharp, confident, and immune to his charm. When they arrive in the city, they learn they'll have to pretend to be a couple for the mission. Bond tries to flirt, but Vesper keeps her distance and stays professional. At the hotel, MI6 provides Bond with an Aston Martin, his personal car for the mission, equipped with a gun and emergency tools in case things go wrong. Later, Bond and Vesper meet their local contact in Montenegro, René Mathis, a French Secret Service agent who will assist them during the mission. That night, Bond gives Vesper a dress for the poker game. He tells her it's important that she looks stunning to help distract the other players. Vesper isn't thrilled about being told what to wear, but she accepts it. In return, Vesper gives Bond a suit, not just any suit, but a classic tuxedo. When Bond puts it on, he looks sharp and confident. It's the first time we see him in the iconic James Bond look. The poker game begins at Casino Royale. Bond joins the table and spends the first few hands quietly observing everyone's behavior, especially Le Chiffre. During the game, Bond orders a dry martini in very specific style, and soon everyone at the table starts ordering the same. The atmosphere grows tense. After a while, Vesper enters the room wearing a stunning dress. Everyone turns to look at her, including Le Chiffre. She walks over and kisses Bond on the cheek, playing her role as his partner. Le Chiffre takes notice, and now sees Bond as more of a threat. The game goes on for hours before taking a break. During the break, Bond secretly places a tracker inside Le Chiffre's asthma inhaler. Le Chiffre heads to his room upstairs, where Abano, the warlord from Uganda, is waiting with a bodyguard. He's furious because Le Chiffre lost his money and demands it back. The situation quickly escalates. Bond, using the tracker, finds Le Chiffre's room and steps in just in time. A brutal fight breaks out. Bond kills Abano and saves Le Chiffre's life. Vesper walks in just moments after the fight and is visibly shaken by the blood and violence. Bond quickly changes and returns to the poker table like nothing happened. Le Chiffre also acts as if everything is normal. Later that night, Bond finds Vesper sitting alone, still disturbed. She's clearly traumatized, and Bond gently comforts her, trying to help her feel safe again. The next day, the poker game resumes. Bond closely watches Le Chiffre and picks up on his bluffing pattern. In one round, Bond is confident Le Chiffre is bluffing, so he goes all in, but he's wrong. Le Chiffre has the better hand and wins, leaving Bond with nothing. Later, Bond asks Vesper for more money to continue in the game. She refuses, saying the risk is too high. Frustrated, Bond storms out and plans to kill Le Chiffre himself. Just before he acts, a man at the table stops him. It's Felix Leiter from the CIA. Felix reveals that the Americans also want Le Chiffre, but alive. He offers Bond the money to buy back into the game, under one condition. If Bond wins, the CIA gets custody of Le Chiffre. Bond agrees. The game resumes. During a break, Le Chiffre's girlfriend poisons Bond's drink. Bond takes a few sips and starts feeling dizzy. Realizing he's been poisoned, he rushes to his car. Inside, he contacts MI6, who guide him through emergency procedures. He tries to use a defibrillator but passes out before he can finish. At the last second, Vesper arrives, reconnects the machine, and saves his life. Bond returns to the table. The final round begins. This time, Bond plays smart and focused. The tension is unbearable. With millions in the pot, the hands are revealed. Bond wins with a straight flush, the best hand in poker. Le Chiffre is ruined. That night, Bond and Vesper go to dinner to celebrate. They start to relax, thinking the mission is over. But suddenly, Vesper disappears. She's been kidnapped. Bond rushes to his car and chases the kidnappers along dark mountain roads. He sees Vesper tied up in the middle of the road. To avoid hitting her, Bond swerves and crashes. Le Chiffre's men capture him. Bond wakes up tied to a chair in a dark room. Le Chiffre tortures him, demanding the password to the bank account holding the poker winnings. Bond refuses to give in. Just as things become unbearable, the door bursts open. Mr. White walks in and shoots Le Chiffre in the head. He spares Bond and Vesper, then silently leaves. Bond wakes up in the hospital, Vesper at his side. As he recovers, he tells MI6 to arrest Mathis, believing Mathis was the traitor who tipped off Le Chiffre. During this time, Bond grows closer to Vesper. He falls in love and decides to leave MI6. They go to Venice to start a new life together. But Bond receives a message from M. The poker winnings never made it to the British government. Realizing something is wrong, Bond follows Vesper through Venice and sees her handing over the money to some men. A shootout breaks out. The gunmen take Vesper into an old, partially submerged building. Bond fights back, disabling the building supports and causing it to collapse into the canal. He kills the men but finds Vesper trapped in a sinking elevator cage. She locks herself in. Bond tries desperately to save her, but she drowns. The money disappears, and Mr. White escapes. Later, M contacts Bond and explains the truth. Vesper had a secret. A man she loved was being threatened. She was forced to cooperate with the group behind Le Chiffre to save that man's life. Heartbroken, Bond calls her a traitor, but M says she likely made a deal to protect Bond too. Before she died, Vesper left a clue, her phone. Bond checks it and finds a name, Mr. White. He tracks him to a villa near Lake Como. Mr. White answers the door, and Bond shoots him in the leg. Then, for the first time, he delivers the line. The name is Bond. James Bond. This story reminds us that even the strongest agents are vulnerable to love, and that betrayal can come from the very person we choose to trust. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and see you in the next video.